most topics that are in Raï's songs are actually about alcohol in a traditional Muslim society. It's about sexual relations outside of marriage. It's about drugs. It's about freedom. And in a time where there was a civil war and Islamist fundamentalists in Algeria, obviously they were not okay with that. So they threatened first, but then they moved to assassinating.
Welcome to a special edition of QuarterTones. My name is Mikey Mhenna. Today in the studio, we have Cheb Mimo, who is a radio host, a DJ, a music researcher from North Africa, lives in London now, and is in Beirut here playing a gig. And we're excited that he's in the studio. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Mikey. And I brought North Africa to Beirut for one night. And
yeah. It's amazing. So for podcast listeners, those not watching YouTube, we have an entire setup here. We have a turntable, a mixer, a cassette player, and tons of music, which I'm super, super excited about. The conceit of today's episode is essentially like a tour, a musical tour, using vinyl and tape to explore the music of North Africa. So I'm excited. We're going to listen to a lot of stuff. But before we start, maybe give us a little sense of your relationship to music from North Africa, what you loved growing up, and how you sort of like fell into this type of music.
Yeah. So growing up in North Africa, I was actually looking more towards Occidental music. So I was obviously fan of the legendary groups from around the world. But my curiosity actually grew for North African music when I left North Africa, which is a classic pattern, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
But actually, thinking about it as well, even very young, I used to go to a lot of live music concerts involving North African but also Middle Eastern artists. I remember going to concerts of Marcel Khalifa a lot, and Tunisians like Anwar Braham, Lotfi Bouchnak. I was always going to live music, not really listening to it at home. But when then leaving Tunisia at 18 years old, I started looking at music from all around the world. Like, I was very interested into Japanese music, then Brazilian, Central American. And then there were a few tracks that made me think that maybe I should look more into North African music, and especially Rayi. And then I discovered alternative North African music that wasn't very accessible before, but then with internet and reissues and stuff, I discovered new tracks that made me look more into
music. So I'm curious, I've always thought about this, like Rayi music from the outside, even the outside being part of the Arab world like Beirut. I've always wondered, is Rayi music like, is it within Algeria or neighboring countries, do kids listen to this music, or is it like, ugh, this is my parents' music, or this is so corny, this is what foreigners like? Yeah. What is the relationship with, or is it like, no, this is popular music?
So actually, Rayi reinvented itself really well, like throughout the years. It got a bit of, like, during 10, 15 years from early 2000 to 2015, it was dead, let's say, but it's really now the music of kids from North Africa. If you go to a seaside town, or like go by the corniche of any seaside town in North Africa, you'd probably see like guys with a big speaker listening to Rayi music.
Yeah.
And they would listen to old Rayi music like Cheb Hasni, Cheb Khaled, etc., but also to new ones that is very auto-tuned, super different to what it used to be, but still very relevant for kids in North Africa, teenagers.
It's like the equivalent of like bachata in like a Dominican Republic.
Yeah, reggaeton maybe.
Reggaeton is even a better example.
Yeah.
Super, okay. Let's go into some of those like early tracks, maybe like the ones before we start playing stuff, but the ones that got you to take another look and say like, oh, there's something really special here.
Yeah. So I'll start with playing a tape actually from one of the biggest Rayi singers called Cheb Sahraoui, and it's produced by the biggest Rayi producer, who's called Rachid Baba Ahmed.
Okay.
So yeah, Rachid Baba Ahmed, he used to be a musician. He's from a family of musicians, and he decided in the 80s to create like a world-class studio. Like it was a replica of Studio One's studio in London. And he was so generous, so welcoming that he opened the door to any Rayi artist to produce in his studios. And yeah, like Cheb Khaled produced at 15 years old, like many very young teenagers produced at his house and also studio. And sadly, Rachid Baba is one of these artists that got assassinated by the fundamentalists in the 90s. So yeah, there are few also known artists that got assassinated, like Cheb Hasni, and Rachid Baba is one of them. But yeah, this tape is with Cheb Sahraoui, who's famous for also being part of the couple Fadila and Sahraoui, who's his wife. And this track is very synthy, and it has a lot of bass and stuff. It's a tape, so.
Yeah.
It's number 5.
Amazing.
Can I speak over?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rayi is, when they say Rayi, it's typical of Rayi music. They would say Rayi in the Rayi music.
Yeah.
That's how it was categorized actually. Because it's not conventional musically, it can be many things. But the thing that is common is the fact that they sing Rayi, they say Rayi during the track.
Yeah. So good. Is this early 90s? Late 80s?
Late 80s, yeah.
Late 80s.
Yeah.
Do you know what machines they're using? What keyboards, what drum machines?
The synth exactly, I don't know, but it's a huge studio. Like I'm not that technical on that.
So cool.
Yeah.
That way, music. Okay, cool. So this guy, is this like a completely classic song? Oh, no, I've never heard this. No, okay.
Yeah. No, it's not a classic, but I really think that the production is amazing.
Yeah.
In this track, it's so good. The whole tape is all amazing. There is in this tape a classic song, the first one called Selfik. But my favorite is the number 5, Ashq al-Awwal, it's called.
Amazing.
Which means first love.
Yeah. So, let's keep on going. Let's keep on going through the tour. What comes next after this type of thing? So like you find this type of song, you fall down into this rabbit hole. You're like, who is this guy? What is this thing?
Yeah, exactly.
Does that lead you down other rabbit holes, or are you just like literally crate digging and just finding what you can find?
Yeah, I discovered this track, and then I thought, who's this producer? So I knew Cheb Sahraoui because he's famous, he's on stage, but you never know about this. They are never the star, the producers. They're always
It's not
mentioned on the side. There's not even his name on the tape.
There's nothing.
Yeah, so I tried to look into the life of the producer through music first, but then his life as a person and his family, and why was he assassinated. He's just a producer after all. And that led me to his early career, the music he played like psychedelic rock, very different to Rayi. And then, he moved into Rayi, and as I said, he was super generous in the way that all the local kids in his neighborhood had the chance to record something.
Yeah.
And
so cool. I mean, when he gets assassinated, is it the word assassinated is different than like the word killed, right? Assassinated is like usually like a political assassination. Was that happening a lot in the music industry at that point?
Yeah, in Algeria, I mean, Rayi music is a transgressive music. It's all about being provocative, breaching taboos. So, for example, most topics that that are in Rayi songs are actually about alcohol in a traditional Muslim society. It's about sexual relations outside of marriage. It's about drugs. It's about freedom. And the Chebs, the generation of Chebs, that's what they brought to Rayi. So the provocative bit, they were not singing in literal Arabic anymore. They were singing in dialect, like Algerian dialect. Yeah. So it was all about being transgressive and not conforming to the society rules. And in a time where there was a civil war and Islamist fundamentalists in Algeria, obviously they were not okay with that.
Yeah.
So they threatened first, but then they moved to assassinating. So Cheb Hasni was assassinated. He's considered as maybe not the biggest, but second biggest after Khaled.
Yeah.
And even now, people are so touched by that, and people are still processing that he was dead at 24 years old. So.
Okay, let's listen to the next one.
Yeah. Shall we? Okay, let's stay in Algeria. Should we play this one? So this is Khaled, who's famous all around the world, I think. It's not a famous track of his. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. So this is Cheb Khaled.
Yeah. This is Cheb Khaled Wajabek. The track is called. That was never actually out in an album. This record is promotional, but you can find it. It's not that.
1992. The issue is in 1992, or the publishing.
That's the promotional. And then there was the famous album with Didine, the track on the other side.
Yeah.
That made Rayi be played. Rayi was played at some points in the halftime of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So and actually that album played a big role in that. That's what propulsed Rayi in the Occidental in the West.
Yeah. I feel like for me, what I think really propelled it was his was Aisha, right?
Yeah.
Was that around the same time?
Didi. Aisha and Didi were the same album, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, actually. Maybe a different one, but same time. And actually, this album is a collaboration between so Khaled from Algeria, but also European musicians, like French musicians. And that's why it has a modern feel. Like the beat is slightly different to what he used to do before. It has saxophone and other instruments that were not really played in original Rayi.
The parallel to reggae is like very strong because like reggae inside of the Caribbean is revolutionary music. It's music about social justice and all these different things. But then when it makes it into sort of mainstream global pop culture, it's like just like happy music, happy stoner music,
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like that's not what it's about at all.
Yeah, that's a super relevant point. There's so many parallels between reggae and Rayi, actually, and also they were kind of the same time, booming at the same time. There is a very interesting album called Kingston meets Oran, or like reggae meets Rayi. It was a collaboration between reggae artists from Kingston and Rayi artists from Oran. And actually the album was a big flop, but because it came out in 2001, it was a time where Arabic music was not very well perceived in the West. And because it was produced by Barclays, I think, it didn't really make any...
Yeah. Inside of Algeria, whenever anyone sort of goes mainstream, there's always this sort of like you're a sellout. Was there a similar backlash to Khaled and some of the bigger names, Mami?
About what?
About sort of like recording with Sting and sort of doing, having saxophones on records and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think, I didn't grow up at that time. I think for me, it should be more of a pride, maybe. The fact that, so the first artist, Cheb Sahraoui, did a US tour with like sold out shows in New York, LA in the 90s. And I can't imagine the same happening now with a Rayi artist or a normal Arab artist.
Amazing. It's super psychedelic. They have these like psychedelic things going on.
Especially the synthie ones as well, like 80s.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
So this record itself, where did you find this one? Do you remember?
This one in France. So France is a great place to dig North African music. And Caribbean music as well. So yeah, France is a place to go if you want to find good Rayi.
Amazing.
Because many artists, because of the civil war and being threatened, etc., they moved to France. And in France, they produced many tapes and records, and this one is one of them.
Amazing. Okay, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's number 2.
Yes.
Very cool.
Let's move to.
I want to just show the vinyl.
Yeah.
Nice. So that's side B and this is side A. Very cool.
Yeah. Can we move to something a bit different to Rayi, but still from Algeria?
Please.
So this one. So you know the track, the music called Sidi Mansour?
Yes.
Allah Allah Ya Baba Sidi Mansour Ya Baba. Most famous folk song, Tunisian folk song.
Yeah.
Like the way people, when I say I'm Tunisian in the Arab words, everyone will say Sidi Mansour Ya Baba, Sabar Be'i is super famous. And there's an Algerian band called Ganawa, not as the genre, but like
it's Ganaw
exactly,
instead of Gn.
Yeah. This is the tape, so this is how you spell it. And they did a reggae version of Sidi Mansour.
Amazing.
But actually, what we're gonna play is a dub version of that reggae version, a slightly dubbier version than that reggae version.
Amazing.
And It's quite obscure. It's not very famous. So I can see perfectly there. Not this one.
Oh my God, listen to that bass.
Yeah, it's a bit weird how I found this one.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a sampler basically of
Yeah.
the label. So this track never came out as well. But I was very curious to find this one.
Are they super well known?
Not that, no, but on the tape you can see it's like #1 in Algeria.
Yeah.
For example, my mom grew up in Algeria. She lived in Algeria until her 30s, which coincides with that time, and she didn't know them. So
funny.
yeah.
What is it like playing this, like this track when you play this actual record? When you play it in North Africa,
Yeah.
where people know this like the back of their hand?
Yeah.
Are they just like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for sure it's like intriguing, you know? You don't expect these lyrics with this instrumental, you expect it with the classic
Yeah.
thing. And I like that. I like surprising people with things they know, but with a twist.
So cool.
And it works really well in Europe as well with, you know, like really famous songs covered in Arabic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How much of this music do you think was actually produced in Europe versus produced in, like, written, recorded in Europe versus written, recorded in North Africa?
So out of the three songs that we listened to, 30%, like one of them was, and I think that's a fair ratio.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have the enough like infrastructure. I mean, there were not many record factories in North Africa. Tape contributed a lot to raise that ratio because tapes are easy to produce, to record. But yeah, records, I think mostly in France,
cool.
Germany, Italy as well for Tunisian.
Yeah. And like, was much recorded in Germany? Because I know a lot of like Shami music was recorded in Germany.
Yeah. So North African, there are a few exceptions.
Yeah.
A few exceptions, but generally it's good production. So you hear about them.
Cool. All right, let's keep it going. This is
Yeah.
fantastic.
All right. Okay. Should we move to Tunisia maybe?
Yeah.
Or more.
And I don't know if you can see on camera, but shout out to Lick Records for setting this up. We got connected through Mohammed Rifai, who everyone knows as Rifo. So that's he did the setup and he set up this whole episode. So I'm very grateful.
Actually, because I spoke about covers and we were listening to some reggae, I'm gonna play this one. It's just by Algerian artist Youcef Didine. I'm used to doing radio, but it's...
Yeah, you weren't kidding when you were talking about the the reggae. I didn't realize how much reggae similarities there are.
So yeah, this is by a cover of Brigadier Sabari of Alpha Blondy, who's super popular in North Africa, Alpha Blondy. I think I've been to 4 concerts of
Wow.
Alpha Blondy. He comes every summer to a festival in Tunisia.
This is the last track, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. I like the one of the names is Apartheid is Nazism.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good track too.
Amazing. That's it. Incredible. Cool. Do you think you have more tapes than records?
I think so, yeah. Takes less space, it's cheaper, and generally records it's easy to listen to. So tapes you have to buy in big bulks and then take them home and then listen to them. Sometimes it takes me... So for example, I come back from Algeria with a suitcase full of tapes, and it would take me 3 months to go through all the tapes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay, cool. What's next?
What's next? So what's next? We could go to Tunisia.
Let's do it.
And start with... So let's start with a classic a Tunisian classic, but I'm not sure it's very famous in the Arab world. It's by artist called Ali Riahi, who's active in the mid 20th century. So it's quite, it's like similar to Tarab, but Ali Riahi was the first Tunisian singer to make Tarab Tunisian. So he was Tunisifying Tarab.
Yeah.
And this track is called Ana Kittir, like a bird. I am like a bird. And it represents a lot his personality, actually, because he's, yeah. And so this track is the official anthem of every card game. So like in Tunisia we play Shkoba a lot, which is like the South Italian card game. It's very, very, everyone plays Shkoba. And generally in cafes when you play Shkoba you have Ali Riahi in the background.
عايش في خير شكون أحسن مني غني للطيار ونسيح نغني للأشجار والريح عيشة العصفور تعجبني من بنتها شعري غني جيت ندقها لساني حرقني يا محلاها يا محلاها يا محلاها محلاها يا بابا يا حني أنا العصفور فوق النسرية نوعي الشحرور جوانحي ذهبية أنا العصفور فوق النسرية نوعي الشحرور جوانحي ذهبية.
There's one I really wish to have, but
yeah, it's okay. The album art is amazing.
Yeah,
it's
it's really good.
So good.
I'll show you, like same from him. Yeah, it's really nice. And he used to dress always in pink suits when he was performing. Yeah.
ونريت الصياد واقف قدامي نعمل فرفر وباقي نغني
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite.
So cool. Incredible. When you play club gigs, you don't play this, so.
No. Could be great closing track, to take people home.
Yeah, pay your bills.
Yeah. I think in Tunisia it could be, I don't know. If I was dancing,
Yeah.
I would appreciate if the DJ surprises me with something like this.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah. So yeah, and then this is 50s in Tunisia, and then there were other prominent Tunisian artists like Hedi Jouini, etc. And then recently, I mean not recently, but maybe like 10 years ago, I discovered the existence of an alternative music scene in Tunisia in the 70s, 80s. And when I say alternative, it's bands that didn't sing tarab or melouf, but sang like funk, disco, rock. And that was actually, that developed with tourism. Tunisia is like our main income is tourism. So it developed in hotels. So there were like local musicians playing in hotels, disco classics, etc. But they decided at some point to
write their own music.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it gave really interesting things. Like there were a few things that were released, reissued by certain labels, and that's how I discovered it. And I tried to know more about that era, so I contacted artists, and I was like, what tracks have you done? Trying to listen to the music when we find it, and also try to understand the socio-cultural aspect. What is it to sing like disco in Tunisia in the 70s, 80s? What did it, what crowd did it bring? And I got really interesting stories from singers who were like considered as punks, singing disco in Tunisia in the 80s. So, for example, some of the anecdotes some people were telling me is when you dress like I don't know, disco funky dress, the police would would stop you and would maybe cut your hair or rape your clothes.
Cut your hair? They'd have clippers on.
Yeah, which is crazy. So they tried to, they tried to kill the scene a bit. But in any case, the scene was so tiny, so niche.
Yeah.
And it gave really interesting music. Like, for example, this one. So Dalila is from Sousse, which is in the south of Tunisia. And most of them didn't do a lot of music. So Dalila, for example, only did this track, or I only know about this track. Oh, sorry. Let's do it again. So this is 82.
I kind of liked it more halftime.
Yeah. I like it. Still has an Arab feel.
Sure, yeah, for sure. Were these mostly like session players who played in a million different bands?
Yeah. So they would play in hotels, they would play in cruise ships around the Mediterranean. And funny is like the bands were called after the cruise ship or the hotel. So you have a famous band called Cornish Band, Cornish, which is like a cruise ship. You have Marhaba Band. Marhaba is a big hotel chain.
How funny.
Yeah. And you have Carthago actually was the first band that was not associated to a hotel or a cruise ship, and it was all the musicians in these hotels that
It was a super group?
got together and did a really nice album, actually. The only thing about this is that the record is in very, very bad quality. Like,
Okay.
really, really bad. So I don't know if
It's unplayable.
could be played. But there's a reason why it's in very bad quality, actually. So the reason is, during my search, generally on the record sleeve you have an address or something. So I went to the address of one record that I found, and it was the biggest, like it was the factory of the label,
Yeah.
Nagam it's called. And I found the place completely destroyed, and with records everywhere completely destroyed. And this record of Carthago is so hard to find and so rare, and also when you find it, it's really expensive to buy it,
Yeah.
that I didn't have the choice but just to take all the copies I found and try to restore them, but it's still very bad quality.
Okay.
So,
Well, let's try it. Let's see
Yeah.
how.
yeah.
So this is the hotels and cruise super group.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
How much of this stuff can people find online, you think?
It's quite hard. I mean, to listen,
Yeah.
you could.
Like YouTube and SoundCloud and stuff like that, you can find.
No, yeah, you could find this last track maybe on YouTube, but I mean, yeah, it's someone who decided to digitalize the.
Yeah.
It's not masterized or mastered, sorry.
Amazing. Yeah.
Well, I think this one is gonna sound very bad.
It's like super warped.
Yeah. But actually,
It might not work.
I have a reissue.
Let me hold it up. Let me just show people.
Yeah.
It's like completely warped.
Yeah, I have a better one.
It's kind of amazing to see, though.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Carthago.
Yeah. This is soul, and it's most of Carthago's musician, but under another name, which is Dalton.
Oh yeah, I know Dalton. Yeah.
So it was reissued by Baby Funk Records.
yeah.
It's their first reissue, and it's just this 7-inch. But in the full album, there are so many, like, really good tracks. Yeah.
Here you go. You can film.
Yeah, and when I discovered that, actually it's this track that made me adventure more into. I was really young when I listened to this for the first time, and I was, whoa, this is Tunisian from the 80s. Like, how come I was listening to, I don't know, soul from
Yeah.
from the US and not from Tunisia? And that pushed me to look for more things, alternative music from Tunisia.
Cool. What happened to all these guys? Are they still around?
Many artists, Tunisian artists, 70s, this disco scene. They were young, they were free, they were like they were artists basically. And then we have this mentality in North Africa that it's not serious to be an artist. So at some point you need to get things together and you need to have a real life, build a family. So unfortunately, many of the artists just got out of the
They're like
music.
accountants and dentists and
Yeah, exactly, of cafes. But actually, for Soul Brother, so Fawzi Chougheli is for this track. Fawzi Chougheli is for me one of the biggest musicians in Tunisia's history, and until now he continues to produce music, perform.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's also, I think, a teacher in Music Institute.
Okay. All right. Well, Fawzi, I hope we can have you on the series at some point soon.
Yeah.
Amazing. Cool. Guitar, piano, and vocals. Very cool. Amazing. All right. Let's do a couple more and then finish up. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So recently I've been very into Kabyle music. You know, Kabylie is a region in Algeria.
Okay.
Between Bjaya and Algiers, so eastern part of Algeria. And yeah, so I've been digging into that part of Algeria, which is very different to Rayi. So it's maybe slightly more disco, closer to the Tunisian style than like Rayi music. And this one is by Syphax. Yeah. And it's called Samagra, which is a word in Berber, like in Kabyle.
Can I see the cover?
Full cover too.
Amazing.
So good.
Can you hear influences of sort of like local music in terms of the rhythm or in terms of other stuff?
For this one, I can hear it, but it's so subtle, no? It's, yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So these guys were active in the late 70s?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And unfortunately, they only did this album.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. Amazing.
It's more like mellow. It's not up tempo. It's more.
All right, so introduce this guy.
So actually, Mexa is like playing. He's late. He came later than Syphax, and he's playing a bit more modern Kabyle song, which is more representative actually of Kabyle music. Syphax is a bit on their own. So he takes the typical sonorities. He's singing fully in Kabyle. And this was out in 82. That's 78, the one we heard before.
Yeah. Amazing. So tell me more about the language that he's speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So sadly I don't speak Kabyle, but Kabyle is part of Kabyle. I don't know if I can call them tribe, but it's part of the Berber in North Africa. I think it's the second biggest tribe of Berbers in North Africa. So they have their own dialect, their own language. And I don't understand the lyrics, but it's generally all about their link to where they are from.
The homeland.
Yeah. Most of them are actually exiled. They don't live in Kabyle anymore. Like, I think most of them live in France. And it's all about link to the homeland. It's such a beautiful region where they're from, full of mountains, etc. So in this song, he sings about diversity, not only in like social, political, and cultural, but also like ecological diversity, which is very interesting. Like,
super cool.
They take that link to the homeland, even to the nature itself. So yeah.
Amazing. Okay, should we do one more?
Yeah. What are you thinking of to end with?
Anything you want.
Yeah.
Whatever you have up on deck, or if you have anything that you feel like we haven't included in the list so far.
Electronic rap.
Okay, cool.
From late 90s by
This is somebody called Malik.
Yeah, his name is Malik Adwan, and he invented what he calls after Rayi, which is Rayi with electronic
Like post rock,
Yeah, exactly.
post punk.
Yeah, post-punk after Raï, which is electronic Raï basically.
I
He
love it.
just took house and techno sonorities and sang Raï. This track is not.
Sounds like the beginning of Thriller.
Yeah. He has a track called After Raï.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I like it. It says after Rayi and has the A and the F capitalized and TER lowercase.
AF After Raï.
So when you play a show with tapes,
Yeah,
do you have to like cue everything up way beforehand?
yeah.
Man, it's
Yeah,
that's the downside of tapes.
yeah, for sure. And it takes time to cue.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So if you're playing two tracks from the same tape in your set, it's gonna be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that it's like a downside of listening to music that people who were born after tapes don't remember or they've never exposed to.
Yeah.
This idea of be kind, rewind.
Mm.
That
Yeah.
whole idea is like foreign to them. You know?
Yeah, I mean, if honestly, like, I like the format of tape, but if I had to not play tape, I wouldn't play tape.
Yeah.
The quality is worse than records or MP3.
Yeah, for sure.
But there are songs that were only out on tapes. So if you wanna open up to everything from the region, you have to go through the tapes.
So this guy, Algerian, late 90s.
Yeah.
Did he start with this style of music or did he transition into this style of music?
He actually started with it. Maybe I'm sure he sang like other things, but his only albums are in this style.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've never met Malik, but I have a really good friend who's met him, and he had the same producer as Madonna, which is
I was about to say,
yeah.
there's very clear Madonna, Michael Jackson energy.
Yeah. So there's very few information about his career, his life. So you have to meet him and ask to get this information. And yeah, apparently he worked with the same producer as Madonna in the US. So
Very cool. Yeah, it has that Rhythm Nation energy.
progressive.
Very cool. Okay, as we're listening to this, where can people find more information about you and about where you're playing next and this music and all that stuff?
Yeah, sure. So I would invite everyone to listen to my radio show
Okay, yeah.
called Shakshuka, which represent the style quite well. So Shakshuka is, the Tunisian dish. And shakshuka means also, as a word, it means a mixture of influences. And my show represents that within North Africa. And it's on NCS Radio
Amazing.
every 4 weeks. So it's a monthly show on NCS Radio. It's called Shakshuka with Cheb Mimo.
Amazing. And people can find you on Instagram, social media, Cheb Mimo.
Yes,
Amazing.
it's Cheb Mimo, and I'm playing in the next few weeks in London, in Paris, in Tunisia.
Cool.
Hopefully back to Lebanon as well.
Yeah, hopefully back to Beirut soon.
To Beirut, yeah.
Man, this was amazing. Thank you so much. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
it.
having me.